everyone, I'm Amira from Team 3, and today we will discuss the dispute between China and Japan in the East Asia. We focus on two important issues, the Taiwan issues and the Senkaku Islands dispute. This topic is important because tensions between two countries affect regional security, diplomacy, and stability in the East Asia. Now, we will explain to you about the Taiwan issue.
The Taiwan issue is one of the biggest tension in East Asia right now. This is because while China does recognize Taiwan as part of its territory under the One China principle, Japan does not officially consider Taiwan as an independent country. But they are very concerned over the fact that Taiwan is very close to Japanese territory, especially to the Okinawa prefecture. This is because if a conflict were to break out in the Taiwan Strait, then Japan would face several consequences, such as in trade, security, and the regional stability of its country. Now, let's move on to another important dispute.
Another major issue is the Senkaku Islands. While Japan has control over most of the island, China also claims them and calls them the Diaoyu Islands. This is a major issue because this area is important for strategic sea routes, fishery resources, possible oil and gas reserves. Because of this dispute often creates tension between both countries. Now, let's see the impacts of this dispute.
These disputes affect East Asia in many ways. First, the military tension has escalated in the region. First, China has expanded its military forces. Meanwhile, on the contrary, Japan has strengthened its defense policies. Second of all, they affect diplomacy. Even though Japan and China are major trade partners, but it can reduce the trust and the cooperation. So, these disputes are not only about territories, but it's also about the power and also about the regional security. Now, let's take a look at some possible solutions to the occurring disputes.
To conclude, the Taiwan issue and the Senkaku Island dispute remain important challenges in China-Japan relation. Both countries have strong strategic interests, but military conflict would be dangerous for regional peace. Therefore, peaceful dialogue, cooperation, and diplomacy are very important to reduce tension. In conclusion, these disputes show how security, power, and diplomacy are closely connected in East Asia.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and today I'm joined by Mr. Hakim from International Relations 2023.
I'm currently joined by Mr. Danishwara from International Relations student from 2022. So let's jump into the topic.
On one hand, Tokyo and Beijing are economic giants whose supply chains are completely locked together. On the other hand, we are seeing a massive military buildup on both sides. This brings me to my first question. How can China and Japan balance the strong, vital trade partnership with their growing military tensions?
Okay, so basically, what's happening between those two countries are tensions are raising, yeah. And mind you, what caused those tension? It's the conflict that they had in those islands, yeah.
Yes.
And how do we propose to make those conflict, simmer down? Okay. So basically, what we need to do is we need to compartmentalize economic and military business in their own lanes. Therefore, there will be no conflict and there will be a mutual understanding between China and Japan that causing conflict will cost both of them great deal of loss. Therefore, negating conflict.
As of the time being, although relations between Japan and China has not always been best, but there has yet to be any sort of force major in the sense that there should be any jumps in making harsh decisions relating to economic pressure. Because despite tensions, relations recently have nothing to be both sides have nothing to be assertive of, apart from some few issues here and there, mostly regarding to either cultural or historical issues. But apart from that, they have no reason but to continue furthering both of their economic intentions with each other. Because at the end of the day, they both want to secure uh, the maximum amount of incentives of profits uh, and at the same time inching away from conflict.
Okay, I see. So it brings me to my second point. What diplomatic solutions can prevent the dispute over Senkaku Island's strategic sea routes and resources from turning into an outright military conflict?
Yes, as I've mentioned before, there has yet to be any push for any military conflicts. In fact, I would suggest that a military conflict would be strategically horrible for China for the time being because they have much more important issues to face. And military-wise, yes, they have been building up, and yes, they have been doing massive exercises related to more in the marine sectors, like and naval sectors too. But as experts have speculated, these are all in preparation for a speculated Taiwan invasion, not a Japanese invasion. Although even said invasion would definitely harm relations with Japan, it is highly unstrategic for China to exercise any military action whatsoever in the Senkaku Islands. So it is best that they still search for diplomatic measures to handle the issue because it is possibly the best strategic outcome that China could expect.